Phenomena. 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 Is everybody in a really good mood now?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Jimmy Curve. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're happy to have you. We're happy to be here. I am Jimmy Putnam, your host. With me, as always, are my co-hosts on microphone number 2, Joshua Vossler.
Hello, everybody.
And on Mixboard channel number 3, Will Doherty.
I'm this one.
And I am very happy to be back from vacation. I spent the last week in Florida, walking around in the sun, drinking daiquiris. But no, seriously, I'm happy to be back with you guys.
What?
Really?
I mean, I guess you did miss the worst of the winter weather outbreak.
That is an interesting thing that happened. It snowed like 14 inches or some crazy shit while I was gone. And so by the time I got back, I had the only unshoveled driveway in the neighborhood, and the snow had partially melted and then refrozen. So it was just ice. So now I can't like shovel my driveway. I thought about calling and asking if one of my friends would shovel it for me, but then I was like, I don't care. I'm in the sun drinking daiquiris. Well, I'll fucking deal with that later. So that was my decision there. Hey, let's start the show. We've got a lot of stuff going on today. We're going to be joined in just a second by special guest Tracie Mauk. We're going to do a quick Slop 40. I've got a new game we're going to play. We're going to talk about some news. Really quickly, let's introduce our guest, Tracie Mauk. Let's not do it really quickly. Let's take our time. Our very special guest on this show. The very sensual Tracie Mauk, everybody. Give it a hey to the show, Tracie Mauk.
I'm often described as sensual.
The irony of that statement will become more apparent later in the show. That's one of those elusive call forwards.
Ooh, call forwards, nice. It's called foreshadowing. A call forward is called foreshadowing.
I like mine better.
Tracie, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Jimmy.
I
Thanks
apologize
having me on.
for interrupting your sip of tea.
No one would have known that you had done that.
As a listener of the show, you should know that I often call out visual things that people are trying to hide, just because I have visual Tourette's, where if I see something happening, I have to say it. So enough of that. Let's talk to someone on the phone so I can't do that. What do you say?
Yes.
So what we're going to do to start out this show, my good friend Adam in Kansas City, his favorite thing to do is to listen to the Jimmy Curve and then immediately call me and tell me everything we got wrong. He takes great pleasure in pointing out my flaws. So he wanted to do a segment on the show, and I was like, okay, well, come up with something. And that's what he came up with, is he's going to call in and talk about some of the stuff we got wrong on a previous episode. Well, he's not going to call in. I'm going to call him, and I'm going to do it right now. So let's see if we can get him on the phone. I'm not going to edit out any of the ringing, by the way.
Everyone likes to hear ringing.
Yeah. I told him 7:20, and it's 7:16, so he may not be.
It's too early.
Howdy.
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Pretty well. How you guys doing?
Great. Welcome to the Jimmy Curve. Say hi to Will and Josh.
Hello, everybody.
And we are also joined by our guest this week, Tracie Mauk, who I believe you have met several times.
I have met Tracie. Tracie's great people.
Oh, thanks.
Oh.
Thank you.
That is very nice of you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. So Adam, like I said, his favorite thing to do is to tell me everything that I have gotten wrong on this show. And so,
It's so much fun.
So we thought that we would just make a whole segment of him pointing out my flaws, and everyone else's for that matter.
Jimmy Curve fact check. Time to check some facts.
So let's get to it, man. What do you got?
Well, really, Jimmy, your glaring flaw this last week was Dr. Seuss. Yeah, that was kind of how he said it was, supposed to come out.
I stated that Dr. Seuss is the pen name of, I believe his name is Theodore Geisel or Geisel.
Correct.
And he claimed that it was supposed to be pronounced Seuss. And my statement was that he went to his grave saying that everyone was mispronouncing his pen name.
Which is absolutely false. Seuss is the correct pronunciation. It's German. However, after a short time of trying to correct people, he decided it's not worth it. And Seuss actually brought to mind the thought of a popular kids author, Mother Goose.
Ah.
So he actually liked the pronunciation of Seuss better than Seuss, and ran with it for most of his life.
I find it unlike the Germans to be malleable and just let things go like that.
But I do find that it would be like Dr. Seuss to be pleased with something that rhymes with something else.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Okay, I'll give you that one. What else you got?
Okay, so leeches and bloodletting. It was stated last week that there was a accepted medical practice currently. Well,
in what context did we say that?
When we were talking about Blackbeard and his weird ass practices on his weird ass health nut stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that in the news? All right.
Yes, most of these are from the news.
Gotcha.
Because that's usually when you guys just start pulling shit out of your ass.
Hey, Adam, what do you do for a living? I assume you're work for the IRS, or
I can't tell you that.
you're an
actually.
attorney, or you work for the IRS, or you run a cult.
Can it be all of those?
It could be.
The cult of the IRS attorneys. Fucking terrifying. Also German.
It is.
But anyways. All right, so...
I will totally own up to this one. I believe I was the one who said that, leeches have been shown to have some, uses in modern medicine to people who are, in that. And I don't have a good basis on that, except a vague memory that I think I read that on a Cracked article. So I'm not going to say that there's...
Crack is always right. Always.
That's where I get most of my knowledge.
I trust it more than most, modern news organizations.
That's kind of fair.
All right.
But anyway, leeching, also known as herutotherapy, is actually approved by the FDA to help with skin grafts. That's it, though. They use it very sparingly, rarely ever.
All I just heard was a loud, booming voice saying, correct. Will 1, life 0.
Well, just given that he doesn't have a lot of victories, so. All right. What's next?
And not to crush Annie Hildebrand, but Blackbeard's ship was not actually Queen Anne's revenge. It was Queen Anne's revenge.
Right.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, that she doesn't get her own pirate ship with what's his name from what was her crew? I forget.
Team Nice.
Yeah, Team Nice. Right. That crew does not exist anymore.
Oh,
sorry.
Can I point out a factual inaccuracy that was pointed out to me after the fact?
Okay.
I don't know if this was on your list, but if not, it fucking should be. I was incorrect in my statement about SpongeBob SquarePants, which Ryan Dowd helpfully pointed out to me after the fact. Oh. It is, in fact, the Flying Dutchman in the show, not the Frying Dutchman. The Frying Dutchman, as I later Googled, it turns out, was actually a restaurant that appeared on The Simpsons.
All right.
And I could forgive myself for getting a SpongeBob reference wrong, but getting a Simpsons reference wrong is...
Yeah.
That's kind of unforgettable.
Yeah.
That one wasn't as glaring of a mistake to me, so I passed on that, apparently. I didn't notice it.
Gotcha. All right, you got one more?
One more. Last one is naming laws. I believe Joshua had said how there's no way in the United States there's any laws on what you can name your kids.
Actually, Ryan.
Yeah. It's basically, there's all kinds of laws on what you can name your kids, but it's mostly state by state. You can't use numbers in a lot of states. You can't have long names in a lot of states. Like there's a numeral or a alphanumeric count as to how many letters a name can have.
Wow.
And most of these are for tracking purposes. So when they register your name, the system can't handle a number, or it can't handle more than 10 characters or whatever it is.
Oh, okay.
Many states also have obscenity laws. So you can't name your child an obscene word. One of them I found interesting was that under Nebraska statutory law, the selection of a surname is the parent's prerogative, except that the Department of Health and Human Services shall not accept a birth certificate with a child's surname that implies any obscene or objectionable words or abbreviations. The statute, however, leaves out first name. So you can't name your kid Jim Fucktard. You can name him Fucktard Smith.
All right. Oh, okay. Well,
that's all I got for last week. You guys had a pretty decent week with some definite glaring mistakes.
all right. Well, good to know. Hey, everybody, Adam Carey, my good friend from Kansas City, Adam Carey.
Hey.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Is it wrong that when he said not to crush Annie, I was hoping his fact check was going to be that God doesn't exist?
No, it is not wrong. It is, in fact, delightful.
Can I contribute that I hope that you can now establish as a nickname for your friend Adam, Fucktard Smith?
Well, he's definitely going to listen to this episode, so it's already in there.
Jimmy Curd Fact Check. Time to check some facts.
That's an oldie but a goodie, or a baddie, or a thing. So let's
It's an oldie but a thing.
oldie but a thing. Let's whitewash that terrible moment in our history from our collective memories and move on with the show. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, now let's divert our attention to focus on our special guest this week, at Mockingbird, Tracie Mauk. I use your Twitter handle because I love it. I find it delightful.
Thank you.
Tracie, you and I are on an improv team together, also with Annie Hildebrand, called Words with Friends with Benefits. We have done lots of improv together. You have performed in just about every type of performance medium there is. And you are participating in an upcoming show in Lincoln, Nebraska on March something
7th.
Called March 7th?
Yes.
Called Epic Improv.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing about Epic Improv is that I want to be on it. And I have been attempting to browbeat Tim Schoenfeld into let me being the musical part of Epic Improv. So my first question for you is exactly how much pull do you have over Tim and the rest of 88 Improv and the Epic Improv crew? And how much influence do you have in helping me get onto the cast?
Well, I'll have you know that I brought up this very fact with Tim Schoenfeld on Saturday.
I love you so much.
At our show in Florence, and it is a strong possibility.
Oh, I'll have to live with it.
Well,
I mean, I didn't expect you to show up with a signed contract.
Right.
But
Surprise, Jimmy! I came on the show today to welcome you.
Here's the thing. He doesn't expect you to mean it, but he does expect you to at least threaten to walk.
Oh, yeah. Yes, my participation in Epic Improv is hinging on Jimmy Putnam playing
if there's
guitar.
anything we know about Tracie, it's taking strong personal stances and issuing threats and demands of everyone around her.
Yes.
That is the opposite of you. First of all, tell us what...
I'm always very concerned with things that affect me.
Let's start with this. What is 88 or what is Epic Improv?
Epic Improv is a show that was started and developed by 88 Improv, one of the best and longest running long-form improv teams in Nebraska, where it combines long-form improv with backgrounds drawn live by me via a projector system that we have set up, and then scored by a musician. When we
Ideally me.
Ideally, Jimmy. Yeah. Oh, am I on the record with that now?
I'm shameless. I don't.
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a fun way to make a more immersive improv show, and it's sort of like just creating a movie on the spot. Because the way that 88 works and what they're brilliant at is that sense of like they're going to tell you a story. They're going to take you on a journey from point A to point C, and it's going to be incredible because they'll draw together all these different plot lines and these character twists you don't see coming, and then throwing me in it was the thought of, you know, okay, Tracie, you are an improviser and a cartoonist.
Right.
Could you just draw things while the show is going? And most of it ends up being, I mean, they're usually like backgrounds that they're in, but then I like to have fun with it, and we'll do stuff where this scene's taking place at SeaWorld, and we're going to talk about the whale, and I'll draw the whale and move it past the screen so it looks like there's a whale jumping.
The dolphin splash on the crowd at SeaWorld that you did on that one show is my favorite. I'm on record as saying Epic Improv is my favorite comedy show in Nebraska. I think it is absolutely fantastic. So
I'm super proud of it. It was such a cool thing to be a part of, and I'm glad that Annie Hildebrand asked us to bring it back for her debut show here in Lincoln.
I will be in the front row, sad that I'm not on stage. But yeah, that's going to be very exciting. And what else do you have going on? You do so much stuff. Like, what else do you have coming up that you're?
I've got a show on Saturday at the Backline on Valentine's Day. My short form improv troupe Big Canvas is doing a Galentine's Day show, which we are calling this not because of the Leslie Knope created holiday from Parks and Rec, which takes place the day prior, but because both Doug and Eric are the male half of our 4-person team. Could not be bothered to do the show, so it'll be just Heather Jones and I. Hosting and running this show together, so we thought, well, let's...
Former delightful Jimmy Curve guest, Heather Jones.
Absolutely,
which
yes.
is now the most important thing about her as well.
It's correct. Forget that OEAA win last year. She is a former guest on the Jimmy Curve.
Right,
Look,
right.
We spent plenty of time on the show talking about Heather's award.
Yes. We should talk about how I was also nominated for that award, and she beat me.
But that's still a great honor to be nominated.
It was last year, not this year.
Oh, you were not nominated this year?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. You weren't funny this year.
No, yeah, I guess this was the year that everyone became aware of the Comstocks.
Who nominates for these awards?
I don't know.
They are public nominations. You can submit them whenever they send out a call, and people can write in whoever that they nominate. And then there's a committee or a board that compiles them and kind of pairs it into a list.
Nice. Well,
It was.
yeah.
Have any of them been to my show?
Is there a podcast host category?
There should be,
There
I think.
damn well should be. 'Cause,
I feel like there's enough podcasts in the area now they could probably have a category.
yeah. Well, I don't want anyone to know about any of the others. I just want there to be one.
Well, it's
When
the
we-
only podcast we know of. We might as well just hand them the award.
And there should be like 15 different podcast categories.
Yes.
Because I want
Best production, best
Right.
music,
Sound
best,
editing.
yeah.
If that happened, would we each get our own trophy, or was it just get one trophy for the podcast?
we'll have 15 trophies, so we'll just rotate. We'll each keep 5 at any one time.
Right.
Okay. I'm in. Gavel, gavel, gavel.
Yes.
Now, Tracie, our very own Will Doherty has claimed to me before that he is solely responsible for introducing you to the world of comedy.
He has claimed that, yes.
Yeah, you may not remember this, Will, but at one time I mentioned that Tracie and I were friends when you and I basically first met, and you were like, I brought Tracie into comedy.
I believe what I said was that I demanded that she add me as an influence on her MySpace page comedy profile.
Very well. Tell us how this all came about, you two.
Yes. Well, I would say you need to have Monty Ike on your show as a guest.
I do.
And then,
Monty Ike is awesome.
And then Monty and Will can duke it out over who gets to take credit for me.
Because
he alleges that he gets to take credit.
Mm.
But I've known Will longer, so he has that in his favor.
Where did you guys meet?
I met Will in the very first play I was ever in, which is basically the very first anything I've ever done performance-wise. Because it was like, before that point, I was just a afraid little slime creature hiding in the darkness.
Mm. Oh, terrifying.
Yes.
Slime creature.
Yeah, we did a play together at the Norfolk Community Theater at their community college there, and that's where I met Will and his then girlfriend and now wife Serenity.
Right.
And first thing I ever auditioned for, performed in, anything like that. It was an awesome experience, and it led to me spending several years there before.
What was your first impression of Will Doherty? And leave out all of the positive things.
I appreciate that you implied that there would be positive things.
Yeah.
Crass.
Okay, good. Correct. So far, correct. And what the hell is this this wonderful Serenity creature doing?
Yes, right. I thought they must be brother and sister.
We get that a lot, actually.
Will's wife is very sweet and delightful.
Right, which is why our relationship works. All right? You can't have two yins in a relationship.
Right,
all right. I gotta be yanging over here.
Yep. A lot of yanging from you. So, and then how did this play and Will Doherty help you transition into performing comedy in front of people?
It really was the start of, I don't know, this train I rode to where I am now. It seemed like I always wanted to do stuff like this, but I was always too shy, just afraid, whatever.
A lot of us have that. Like
Yeah.
that I have that same thing. Like I didn't do any sort of performance thing until I was
I didn't do theater in school,
Yeah.
anything like that, and I didn't nothing that would draw attention to me.
right. Like I did like debate in high school and like forensics and stuff, but that doesn't really it's not the same thing.
Right.
And then there was about 12 years where I did nothing.
Yeah.
So what then how did you start doing like at what point did you think or was it a slow transition, or was there a moment where you just thought, oh my God, now Tracie is trying to make people laugh on her own? Like, when did that happen?
Well, it was interesting because that first show that I did with Will had sort of an improv aspect to it, because there's a murder that happens in the show, and then they had a whole section where they let the audience interrogate the cast members.
Okay.
And then we were expected to just respond in character during this, and that was like terrifying to me. Like, no, there's nothing scripted. What am I supposed to say? But that was like kind of a fun. That's like kind of the first spark of like, oh, stuff that I said that wasn't written got a laugh. Maybe
Nice.
But I stuck to plays for a long time. And then even after moving to Omaha, I still was like, just first thing I did was I started seeking out theater work here, and I got hooked up with the Florentine Players. And that's kind of where it opened up for me more with opportunities, because they had done an improv show there, so I got to learn more. We did some workshop stuff and put on a show, so I got to kind of learn a little bit about doing improv. And then they also had a Follies show that they would do where people could submit your own little, like it was like a variety show type thing, where, just come up with an idea and we'll put you in the show. And, so it's people doing, if it's tap dancing or singing or a little sketch or something. And that's the show where I came up with Your Friend Bella. Because I thought, like,
tell us what Your Friend Bella is.
Your Friend Bella is, I dress up in a $7 hot dog costume that I found in a thrift store, and talk in an Eastern European accent, and give helpful and friendly advice to strangers, usually involving some sort of holiday.
Explain to me as Your Friend Bella, and I am going to play 12-year-old Jimmy.
Okay.
And you are explaining to me what happens when we die. Will.
Okay.
You are security.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Who is there for some reason.
Okay.
Joshua, I'm going to let you come up with your own character whenever you feel like jumping in.
Okay.
All right. What happens to us when we die?
Well, my dear friend, Tiny Jimmy, there is going to come a point in your life where you are just going to stop breathing and
What?
thinking.
I don't like it when I can't breathe.
It won't matter, because your brain will no longer send electrical impulses to any part of your body.
What are impulses?
That is all of the things that give to you feeling.
Oh.
Yes, you will just stop, and then your body, it will slowly decay.
That sounds numbing and peaceful.
It is.
and scene.
Okay.
I don't know where we
I know
took that.
I didn't contribute a lot to that scene, but I want the audience to know.
You did keep the riff-raff out.
I was like keeping my like biceps forward that entire time to be in character as security.
Yeah, right. And Josh did a great job as the table.
I was actually the deaf guy in the room, so I didn't hear any of it.
I had no idea what was going on.
Have you ever done stand-up?
I have, yeah.
Do you like it?
I don't especially.
Well, one of the things I was going to ask Tracie about that's interesting is that, sorry to interrupt your answer, but it's
That
what I
was
do.
the end of it.
Well, unlike the rest of us, I have seen you do just stand up
Yeah.
as Tracie Mauk.
Rarely.
Is it? I always want to say Mauk.
No, it doesn't need to be that German.
Just Mauk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mauk.
So, but the rest of us come to comedy performances, I think, as we start with ourselves and then have to force ourselves to get further and further away to do different things. Like, it's really hard for me when I do improv.
I've never forced myself away to do anything different. It's pretty much just this.
Right. Well, like when I do improv, it's really hard for me to stop being Jimmy. I have to do, I have to really work hard to get out, because it's normally just me. It's just like fucking bitter, angry Jimmy. Only I'm like, but now I'm called Dave.
Yes.
And then I keep doing it or whatever. And I think that's most stand-ups. Tracie,
Dave
you...
is also angry like Jimmy.
Right. And he looks like me. But like, Tracie, you approach it from sort of a different way. You do mostly characters.
Yes.
And it's very rare that we see just Tracie.
Well, I think that's always been the allure of it for me, and that's why I wanted to go into theater, and that's why I've always held on to that in everything else I've done, be it, stand-up type things, and especially improv, is like, I want to go to the place where I don't have to be Tracie, and she can not be there at all. And
So do you find yourself hiding behind characters?
yes.
Very much. I find Tracie wonderful, warm, and delightful. So I enjoy seeing stand-up as Tracie. Is that just super hard, or like what is it?
I think it's just about a viewpoint thing, and I feel like my own viewpoint, and maybe that's just me not being comfortable enough and about it in a stand-up setting to do it regularly. Because when I do stand-up, and I have favored, and I know this is gonna tip off probably a segue into another conversation. A lot of my stand-up as myself is usually me talking about asexuality, and as something that I feel has a lot of comedy opportunities, and it's something that no one else is talking about. And I think that's always my thing with doing stand-up, is I don't have those, I don't know, I don't have like everyday observations of things. I can't do that. I don't have, what's my big quarrel with, I don't know, the airlines and stuff like that. I don't have any of those things. I can be a character that has a quarrel with those things or whatever, and I can manufacture it that way and create a viewpoint. But it seems like anytime I have to do comedy as myself, it's just kind of like, well, these are what does Tracie feel and has to talk about, and it's usually about depression and loneliness and asexuality and why they are all tied together.
That does sound hilarious.
Well, that's also why I always shy off from doing stand-up as myself too, because I feel like a lot of it ends up just like me trying to plumb my sadness for comedy, which is not an uncommon thing in stand-up. Certainly no one at this table has a sting about it.
It's most of stand-up.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just naturally inclined to think that it's funniest if I just gang up on myself, kind of a thing.
Right. Well, it's interesting to hear you talk about doing characters in that way, because I feel like the thing that you're describing is like the reason that I don't tend towards doing improv or character-based work is because for me, like, the thing that I like about watching stand-up and about comedy in that way is getting to, like, the reality of someone else's situation. Like, the truth about their experience in some way. And I think you can definitely do that in, even in, like, character work.
Yeah.
Like, you can still put forward your truth in character work.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like you have a lot further to go, and that's why like I don't want to do that. Like, I'm so much more interested in kind of finding the reality of an individual and finding what's funny there. And that's kind of, I feel like what you're saying is it's harder for you to get to that when you're presenting as yourself.
Yeah.
Which is weird,
And
but I can understand it.
Right. And I think it's a mixture of a level of discomfort with myself and self-consciousness versus also I just genuinely love if I can, just character work. I just think it's so much more fun for me if I can, just be this really strange, interesting person. Not that just Tracie Mauk isn't a strange, interesting person, but certainly, I don't know. It feels like it's more fun if I'm not that. Like, I mean, I did on the last time I did your show, the Will Doherty Loves Company, I did a character on that I think is kind of like what you were talking about. It was like, it certainly wasn't a character that's super far away from who I am. I was just this incredibly lonely, nerdy person. And I told mostly just jokes about sadness and science. And like, it's certainly something I could just do as myself, but it was more fun if I get in a voice.
But it's a way, it allows you to, I think doing it in a character in that setting, like, allows you to go farther before it gets too weird or too uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when you're a character, you can take that to the far extreme, and people go like, well, like, this is a character that's exaggerated for this reason.
Yeah.
Even though secretly you're telling the truth.
Right. I like that it gives me kind of that parachute of I can push it to a place where as long as the audience understands, like, okay, this is a person doing a bit. And if it was me saying and acting the same way I did as that character, they would think that I'm a crazy person.
Now, you kind of buried the lead 2 questions ago when you mentioned that you identify as asexual.
I do.
What does that mean?
That means that I just do not experience sexual attraction.
Oh, my wife's got that.
Nyuk, 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 nyuk.
I set him up, you knock him down,
Waka,
Josh.
waka, waka.
I think they got a cream for that now, though. I seen on TV.
What?
I don't know. I'm off my game today. It's a bad day today. I really hate myself.
I do quell my feelings with several kinds of cream. But it's usually a sugary whip kind of content.
No, for real though, there's like a Lady Viagra that comes in a tube.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, I see.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's done. I'm done.
Like,
I'll be over here.
I'm going to say something that's going to, I assume, sound super offensive, which I like to do every once in a while because it makes Jimmy uncomfortable.
Does.
Do you? I assume,
then I should feel fine.
Yeah. I mean, I assume if you say you like that's how you self-identify.
Yeah.
I assume the answer is no. Do you think asexuality can like qualifies as a disorder? Like, is it just a problem, or is it just a like sexual orientation that exists?
It's the same as, and I think that's something that is a stigma that follows it a lot. And these are all great. I mean, that's a great question, and there are many great questions about it.
Can we go back just a second and start out with an actually more basic question about asexuality?
Sure.
How much of this, when you first said I am asexual, how much of it was like when you first had the thought? How much of it was joke versus how much of it was this is a genuine thing I've been thinking about and I'm now admitting for the first time?
Oh.
Because it sounds like the kind of thing where it'd start out as a joke.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, wait, that might be true.
You know, like how some frogs are, you know?
Right.
Yeah. No,
wait, so you have the ability to change your so that you can
not those kind of frogs.
Procreate.
Right.
To get off of Jurassic Park, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Just when I'm ready, I'll just divide into 2.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Because the first time I heard you say this, you were doing it was the first time I'd heard you do stand-up as Tracie, and I was like, oh, she's just kidding.
That's a really funny viewpoint, yeah.
Right.
You know, she's just being,
So speaking of super offending Tracie to her face.
It's a hilarious angle on her celibacy.
Right.
honestly, like the first time I ever really identified as it or thought about it, it was before I even really knew a whole lot about it. But I mean, I think all through junior high and high school, I think that's just how I felt like I was. And I think I even was like using the term to myself. Not that it came up often at all, because I mean, I almost never got asked out on dates or anything like that. And it was just something I was kind of aware of when all your friends around you, you know, they talk, the way they talk about, you know, how they're attracted to other people, or, you know, and me just like, that sounds so alien to me. I've never had this.
None of us can relate to that because the three of us spent all of our high school and junior high years just getting mad tail.
Oh, yeah.
And just.
Oh, yeah. It never dried off.
Never, ever.
Not once.
I mean, super popular with the ladies, the cast of the Jimmy Curve. So, unfortunately, we can't sympathize with you on that. But it is, I mean.
Yeah, but it's the difference of you probably wanted to have sex, but it wasn't, the opportunities weren't there, whereas it was just it was like a non-issue for me. It just never came up in my mind.
I will say, you said, that, like, it wasn't, like, a big issue, like, you didn't get asked out a bunch.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that if, like, you were a nerdy girl in high school, there was at least one sad guy who still has a love letter that he wrote to you and then just kept in a shoebox.
No, there was that guy, and I did have to turn him down once, and I told him that I had just gotten out of a relationship, which wasn't a lie, because I had just broken up with my online boyfriend. Who I never met in person and who lived in Homer, Alaska.
Nice.
Like when sexual things happen, like in a scene in a movie, or people are talking about a sexual experience, does that like make you feel uncomfortable?
Sometimes. I mean, not always. I mean, there's like not everyone who is asexual experiences like that would be like sex repulsion, which you know, can also, I think, exhibit in sexual people as well. Just some people just don't like to see it.
Depends on the person.
Well, I think what Josh is more asking, like, if you're straight, like, homosexuality sometimes you can find that, like, repulsive to the senses. Is it but this is a different thing. Right? Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah, sort of just like, it's so foreign to me, the idea of being asexual. Is it like a repulsion thing?
Right.
Yeah, they're separate. They're separate issues, but you can experience both. And like for me personally, sometimes it's like that. I mean, sometimes it's like genuinely like, I'm curious about this because it's just not something that I do. So sometimes, you know, you watch just out of like, you know, so that's what it's like. I mean, you know, I don't know, just out of like almost like scientifically observing, just like the.
You know, it's interesting. If
you through a window, from a tree,
right? Yeah,
across,
I'm doing it for science. I don't feel arousal from it.
But by observing sex, you are changing the outcome of it.
Right.
According to the scientific.
The difference between when she's watching people have sex from a tree and when I'm doing it is she's not masturbating.
Right. Also, you have to be on a much larger branch to support your bowl.
Correct.
Those are the two differences.
How nerdy did we get talking about branch girth and the Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Whoa. I mean, try not to use the word girth. I feel like maybe you're going to...
Oh, I'm sorry, Tracy. I said the word girth. I apologize.
You're making her uncomfortable by talking
No, see, now, as an example, my brain didn't even go to that. I didn't think penis girth. I was just genuinely thinking a large mass. Yes.
Right.
I'd imagine having a brain that doesn't process innuendos would make stand-up difficult.
It does, especially when playing the short-form game Daddy Likey.
How does that work?
It's that, you know, I like my women like I like my coffee.
Oh, right, yeah. You were not there with Big Canvas when we performed that game for the Boy Scout Jubilee.
No, I'm sad I missed that.
Oh, it was wildly awkward.
Opening for Smash Mouth.
Yes, that is correct. That is exactly what happened. We did short form improv at the Boy Scout Jubilee opening for Smash Mouth.
You opened for How is that not on, like... your every credit ever.
Doug Roth,
because it's not 1997.
Yeah. Doug Rothgab of Big Canvas set it up. Previously, my biggest credit on my lifetime achievement list was opening for Veruca Salt, in which I was in a band that actually played music.
And that's way cooler.
And actually opened for Veruca Salt at an outdoor show at the University of Emporia State. and I do not think Veruca Salt would ever admit to having played that show. So, but and we were a ska band opening for
I feel like
90s rock act.
I feel like Smash Mouth similarly would never admit to playing that
the
Boy Scout Jubilee.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I did perform the night before as Bella, and I did some short form then too. But that was the band that night was just some hair metal style cover band.
I do want to hear Smash Mouth like answer the same question on a different podcast, like. Heard you performed at the Boy Scout Jubilee, closing after your opening act a short-form improv group. Did the game Daddy Like You? Just, oh my God, where have I come? Where has my career brought me at this point?
I hope somehow, I want to hear that answer and be like, yeah, there was this one guy on there. His name was Jimmy Putnam. I thought he was really funny. I heard he's doing a podcast now. I listened to a couple episodes. It was all right, but I wish I could listen to them all, but who has the time?
He made some really sharp sexual innuendo to that audience of 14-year-old boys.
Which is where sexual innuendo belongs.
I never do that. Like, I'm not sexual innuendo guy, but there was some concern that we might have to muzzle Heather Jones.
Oh, yes.
But she was great. Heather is super fun, so
yeah.
super good.
Back to talking, when you asked about identifying as asexual, it kind of went through phases for me where before I really got a deep understanding of like what it means and just kind of all these gradients and everything. It was just an easy term for me in my head in like junior high and high school of just it just made sense to me, like, well, that's what that word means and that's what describes why I don't do anything or care about it.
Right.
But then I kind of went through this phase of thinking that like, well, maybe that was just a placeholder because I didn't find well, maybe it's just because I'm not attracted to dudes,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just because
You have had girlfriends.
I have.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, speaking of getting needlessly into Tracie's personal life, when I first met you in that sad play at a community college in Norfolk, Nebraska, how far we've come.
It was a great play. And you were great in it.
I'm not going to argue that point. No, at that time, you told me that you identified as a lesbian.
Yes.
And I didn't, was that wholly true in your mind at the time?
Yes.
Was this something you were still coming to? Or did you just not want to explain to Will Doherty a random rural Nebraskan about your complex sexual identity?
No, it was true at the time, and it's still true. Like
it is true today.
You can be, it can all be correct. I guess the difference being, if we want like the technical term of what I would identify as is a homoromantic asexual. So I experience romantic attraction.
Where does that fit on the evolutionary chart?
Somewhere between.
She's much more evolved than any of us. Is
Right.
what it means.
Yes.
Okay.
Tracie, when I heard that you were asexual, my first thought was, good for her. Because, honestly, as a sexual person,
Yeah.
it's a burden. It's exhausting.
Okay.
It's exhausting. Like, I'd be much more creative. If I could clear my mind of all sexual thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is, there's a lot up here,
Yeah.
then there'd be so much more room for things like better jokes, math. Like, I could do those things
Mm-hmm.
better.
Oh, I have to assume it's like a borderline superpower to just not have advertising work on you.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, the advertising that is about like salty snacks and cool Japanese toys still work on me.
Right.
Cool. Oh. All right.
So I'm not letting you wrap this up quite yet.
Okay.
What was your fancy word for how you self-identify?
Homoromantic asexual.
So that means that like you experience romantic but not sexual attraction, but only towards the same sex.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Just in that same end, there's still like aesthetic attraction is separate from sexual attraction,
Right.
And so, like, certainly I can be like, oh man, that there's a really good looking, person there or whatever, and I could be attracted to a person's look. But more like, if I want to actually spend a lot of time with them, it has to be more of like kind of a romantic, like, oh, they seem really nice and I want to spend a lot of time with them and do nice things for them. And,
Right.
I
guess it seems so strange to me that like the idea of identifying as both asexual and a lesbian at the same time.
Oh no, it's me limiting my playing field as much as humanly possible.
Right.
Like, it's already hard enough just to find a date in, Nebraska.
Right. Like, that subsection of Match.com has to be.
Yes, it is. And it always makes me feel bad because it's like an additional struggle as far... Because I always feel like it's me being a drag to anybody else. Like, oh, you're attracted to me? Well, hey, hold up, because let me brief you on how disappointing I'm going to be for you.
Yeah, see, that's most people that I think the three of us have ever talked to, though. Like, I am interested in you sexually. Well, slow down there, big fella.
Right.
Not so fast. So, I don't know. You may be more normal than you think.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jamie, but I'm batting 1,000 over here. 1 for 1.
Let's move on. Let's do Slop 40. We got a special request to do a Slop 40 segment this week.
It's Will Doherty's Slop 40.
That's the person I am.
The views and opinions expressed by Will Doherty do not necessarily reflect those of the Jimmy Curve podcast.
Although this week I suspect they might. We got a special request from my good friend Todd Dillon, who said if you're taking Slop 40 requests, do Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars. Well, I want to encourage audience interaction and friend interaction with the Jimmy Curve, so we're going to do it. There's a problem, though, I suspect, with us doing a Slop 40 on this song, which is that
it's a really good song.
It's a great fucking song. So let's hear it.
Dope. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. This is that ice cold Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Styling, wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot.
I kind of just want to play the whole fucking song.
I wanna retire, man. I'm too hot.
Hot damn.
Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band bought that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give
All
it
right.
to you. Saturday night and we
Fade it out here.
don't believe me, just watch.
Come on.
All right, Will, explain to us why this pop song is terrible. I like the idea, by the way, that a lot of our segments are turning into challenges. Okay, sad guy, tell me what's wrong with this.
Do we have a guy calling in saying everything we do wrong now?
The Jimmy Curve, the self-defeating podcast. Okay, first of all, as I said at the outset, this is a good song. I like this song legitimately. I also can make the argument that, like, lyrically there's nothing there, but here's why I like this song. It's not a rational argument. I just like songs that have horns in them. This is a thing that started when I was in high school, when, like, for a brief period, I got really into, like, ska music for a little while, and by like really into, I mean like I owned the soundtrack to the feature film Basketball, and
That's
and maybe like 2 Real Big Fish records.
I can't save you. Keep going.
I didn't say I had good taste, Jimmy. I was specifically making the opposite point.
Right.
And then for a while, I also got into like, I really enjoyed like funk music for a little while. And again, by funk music, I mean I owned the soundtrack to the feature film Undercover Brother. But no, that's why like I do.
That soundtrack has artistic merit. Continue. It is the SpongeBob of funk music soundtracks. I don't know. Right.
Okay. So I do have like an affinity for music that just has horns in it because there's not enough of it on the radio.
I agree.
There's actual like musicianship in that, which I appreciate.
I used to play in a ska band. I'm 100% on board with you.
Oh yeah, no, I love any band that has to split their earnings 11 ways. That's a band with artistic merit.
My band had a tuba. I'm not kidding. We had a tuba.
That's great.
Shout out to Jimmy Ramsey.
So,
Jimmy the Tuba Ramsey.
He was just known as Ramsey because we were roommates and we were both named Jimmy. His middle name, John. Jimmy John.
Jimmy John.
Yeah.
Huh.
He played tuba. Sorry, go ahead.
Why did his parents hate him?
That's a much longer story.
Okay, so I do love this song. I do enjoy like funk song. Like this song, I feel like has got a hint of I think what we can both agree. Really, all of us. I think we can all agree is the greatest band of all time, Morris Day and the Time.
Correct.
Okay,
I'm 100% on board with that.
all right. See, yeah, I watched this video and I really enjoyed that.
Josh just shrugged his shoulders like,
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
nonsense. Okay.
It's got this video I love because it's got a lot of like performance on it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of like 70s, 80s, like this was choreographed.
Well,
There's a group of people dancing.
Right. There's the dance specifically has a lot of a lot of stuff in there. They're like making references to things like Smooth Criminal is very prominent in like the choreography of the dance. And that. You know, so a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of pop funk. It's just great.
But lyrically, there's nothing happening.
Okay.
So we do have to make fun of it at some point.
Sure.
The first thing I have to make fun of is I don't know if you realize this is a song, as you said, by Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars. Now Bruno Mars obviously is the guy what's doing all the singing in this
Correct.
song.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is Mark Ronson?
Yeah.
I don't know how this happened, but he's apparently this British funk musician who somehow elevated himself to like Carlos Santana status.
Yeah. Well,
He somehow gets more famous people to appear as like the lead vocalist on his songs, and then they get the featuring credit.
Right.
How did he accomplish that?
Right.
How did Carlos Santana accomplish that?
What was really weird to me is I saw him, I think, on Saturday Night Live, and they didn't even say Bruno Mars's name. They were just like, next up, Mark Ronson, and they did this song, and I was like, that's fucking Bruno Mars. Why didn't they tell us who this is?
He was the white guy playing guitar.
Yeah, right. And it was really confusing, but props to him for that, because that's badass.
Oh no, and it's hilarious because he's like, I told you this amazing video with like this kind of 70s, 80s showmanship that I really liked about it. But then there's just this one fucking weird Rick Astley looking white dude floating around. Turns out, the artist. That's who that guy was.
He's not just there to distract us while we're waiting for the next verse.
The song starts off, it gets, I think, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, a little racist immediately.
Okay.
This hit that ice cold Michelle Pfeiffer, that white gold.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little racist, right?
Maybe.
To whom?
I mean, I guess we don't care. We're not really concerned about being racist against white people, but let me pose a statement to you. This hit that ice cold Michelle Obama, that black gold.
Racister.
Yeah. See, so if it works that way, I feel like...
But let me tell you a thing about racism, Will Doherty. It's something, you can't be racist against the ruling class. Racism implies a class structure where someone is not benefiting from, and we've got it all, so they can say whatever they want.
Fuck you!
That's why
Deal.
That's why there's no such thing as reverse racism.
That's true, I think, to a point. I think you're right when you say there is no such thing as reverse racism. This is a completely different discussion that we're having now,
Look
and
what
it's
you've
about
done,
racism.
I know.
There is no such thing as reverse racism, but there is such a thing as, like, a minority group that's just racist against a majority group. Like, that can happen.
They can be. It's not that they're racist. It's that they are.
Right.
No. What's the prejudiced?
Well, yeah, I think you're classifying racism as as its own entity rather than as a subsection of prejudice.
Yeah.
Which is what racism really is.
Right.
It just means bias.
Yeah.
So you can, reverse racism isn't a thing, but not because it doesn't exist, but because it's really just racism.
Minorities can be, prejudiced and biased and bigoted against the ruling class or however you want to describe it, but they're not racist against white people because they don't gain anything from it.
Well, I mean, racist against white people is just bias against you for your race.
I can't wait for Adam to call in on this one.
All right, Adam. We'll talk to you next week. Explain to us what race. Oh, fuck him. He's a redheaded white guy, too. Who cares?
I mean...
That's not racist because it doesn't exist. So...
Right.
I mean, I've heard some gingers claim that they're the most prosecuted group.
Or persecuted?
Yeah. No, prosecuted. They're the most convicted of crimes.
Most prosecuted group.
Being brought into court systems.
I like it. All right, let's get back to this racist-ass song.
Michelle Pfeiffer's probably just happy for the name drop.
That's true. Her ability to, I don't know how much you're paying to get Michelle Pfeiffer in your film this year, but I assume it just went up by a couple $100,000.
I don't know. She was a better Catwoman than Halle Berry.
Well, yeah.
That's the totality of my thoughts on Michelle Pfeiffer.
It's kind of racist.
Granted. You got anything else on this song, Will?
Well, now it's just going to be uncomfortable after everything we've been through, but I'm still going to do it. I'm too hot. Hot damn. Called the police and the fireman, which you need to be a little bit careful about because there's some race issues in this country. We don't need to be getting the police involved unless we have a really good reason to.
Right, especially with what appears to be, in this case, a prank phone call.
Right?
Can you send the fire department? I'm too hot.
Hot damn.
Yeah, you are going to be prosecuted,
and
son.
that was the story of the time Bruno Mars got murdered by the police.
Right. Yeah. Or is he just making the call for Mark Ronson?
Right.
I mean, I don't know how the dynamic works in this group.
I'm too hot. Hot damn. Make a dragon want to retire, man. First of all, this is going to be straight up racist. I don't appreciate cool black dudes stealing my ability to make dragon references.
That's fair. A fair criticism, but I just like that lyric.
Look, obviously I do too. Okay?
Yeah.
We're doing this. I'm plumbing this because I have to find something to hate.
Right, yeah.
I'm too hot. Hot damn. Say my name, you know who I am? Obviously Bruno Mars. Mark Ronson.
Again,
don't know.
Again, I feel like Mark Ronson probably wrote that lyric.
Probably. Out of spite.
Out of spite. Yeah. I would like Mark Ronson's British vocals cut in there say my name, you know who I am, Mark Ronson. Edited in.
But you'd have to wonder then if when they perform that live, if that's a call and response moment in the show, and then the entire room responds, Bruno Mars, right. And then Mark's just like, aww.
Here, we're gonna perform that line really quick with me as Mark Ronson cutting in. So do the line as Bruno Mars.
Okay. I'm too hot. Hot damn. Say my name, you know who I am.
It's me, Mark Ronson. I feel like that would make a better song. All right, now do it one more time. Only this time, Tracie, you are playing Mark Ronson.
Oh, I have to do it again.
You have to do it one more time.
You have to say the hot. I need the response on the hot.
Okay,
damn
yeah,
this time.
Josh and I are on hot damn.
Okay, I'm too hot.
Hot damn.
Say my name, you know who I am.
Hello, Governor, it's me, Mark Ronson.
All of these are a better version of this. I don't know. We're treading heavily upon great art. I worry that we should move on. But if you got one more bit, let's talk about it.
I just want to draw special attention to one line, which again, it's so earnestly lame, which is why I love it. I mean, aside from it goes, ride to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi, which is just in the long tradition of just saying lists of places in like pop songs.
3 places Mark Ronson has never been. Right.
Right. But presumably Bruno Mars.
Right.
If we show up, we gonna show out. Smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy.
What?
That's the like lamest thing I've ever heard, and that's why I love it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I retroactively makes me want to go back and like, you can talk about dragons, Bruno Mars.
I'm surprised. I'm learning now. I don't actually know the lyrics. What he's singing in the song. Like I've heard the song a bunch of times, and then until this moment realized that there's a peanut butter product placement happening in it.
It's also reminding me of the time in A Tribe Called Quest scenario when Busta Rhymes utters the line "rah rah" like a dungeon dragon, and I thought, he's one of us, or I'm one of them, and neither of those things was true. But it did make me feel like I was a part of the music. In fact, Joshua, you were the only person here who has not played Dungeons and Dragons.
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it is, right? It's like...
Well, you
actually,
see, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop role-playing game created by Gary Gygax. All right.
This is another thing that Tracie and I do together. we are in a Dungeons and Dragons group.
You know what? I do kind of know what it is. When I worked for the Department of Corrections, there's a particular housing unit, which you could probably imagine what inmates are on this housing unit, where they would play Dungeons and Dragons every day.
Really?
And, yeah, they make their own, like, I don't know, they had like sheets of paper. I don't know why.
Character sheets.
Character sheets, stuff like this, and they'd write stuff down. They made like homemade, like a die, like something they rolled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were sex offenders. No,
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
they were. That housing unit is where nonviolent first-time offenders and or sexual
They don't put those guys in gin
offenders.
pop.
No.
Nah.
They were on a particular housing unit, and that was the only housing unit that did play Dungeons and Dragons. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there's a correlation.
Right.
I'm just saying
You're not implying that I'm a sex offender.
the violent repeat offender unit, not big on the Dungeons and Dragons.
No. Yeah.
I would think the correlation would be the certain appeal in role playing.
Oh, maybe there is
Sure.
a correlation.
Yeah.
All right.
Like, oh, it just so happens that my halfling elf is 13.
I mean, I feel like the correlation is almost, it's easier than even we're trying to make it. Like, the group of people who are, like, willing to play D&D in prison are the group of people who are already the outcasts of prison.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, we're the sex offenders, which is the nerd table of jail.
Yeah.
Like, guess what? All those guys in, like, the repeat violent offenders unit, they want to play D&D.
Oh, the football
They
team.
could use some escapism. They're in jail.
Right.
But they don't get to because they'd get stabbed.
Right.
And you said non-violent offenders, so that's like tax evaders and stuff too? Or?
Yeah, on the housing, like fourth offense DUIs, some white collar crime stuff, and people that should.
So
They don't have the whatever to be in like a prison.
Right.
So they're not socially qualified to fit in prison.
Right.
They are the nerds of crime.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I got one more song lyric in for this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. How molesty is it?
Like, I'd say a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Okay. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo. Don't believe me, just watch. A bunch of times.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do it 2 more times.
Okay.
Don't believe me, just
Mark
watch.
Ronson. I'm gonna cut
Don't believe me, just watch.
Mark Ronson.
Okay, here's a question. You're Mark Ronson, but over here you're Bruno Mars. It's Saturday night and you're in the spot. Why wouldn't I believe you?
Right.
This is exactly what you do. You don't have
Yeah.
to convince me that it's Saturday night and you're in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
We already know.
Mm-hmm.
And we're already watching you. Don't tell me you're on the stage
Right.
/ video.
Mhm.
It's so redundant. And that's why pop lyrics are bad.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that was the point where in writing the song, Mark Ronson just wrote a line and then he was like, this is where I'm going to play guitar for 2 minutes, so just keep saying this. And then, he just, there's, that line's not in the official lyric sheet, don't believe me, just watch. The only thing that's there is just ... He just said, and don't believe me, just watch, and then so on. And then,
Right.
and then there's music for
Etc.
etc. Ellipses. I think we've really nailed Mark Ronson, guys. All right. That's it?
And this one goes out to Todd Dillon. This is your fault.
It's Will Doherty's Slop Doherty.
All right. Tracy, I want you to say what you just said about me. Now that we're on the air.
Right.
Now that we're back.
The Jimmy Curve. No, I'm sorry. Can I do that again?
I said, hey, who wants to try this new game that I came up with? And you said,
I said I love the games that you guys do on the show. I genuinely enjoy them, and I feel like you're the Ellen DeGeneres of comedy podcasts.
and then the money just started rolling in.
Because if I was on the Ellen show, I would be disappointed if she didn't invite me to do a game.
All right. Well, you did say when I invited you on the show that you hoped we were going to play a game. I didn't have one ready, but I came up with a new idea for one. So this is essentially how it's going to work. I don't have a name for it, but Mary just brought in some wine. This is, just so you know, this is the point in the show where we all open some booze. So if the show goes off the rails at this point,
Well, my hands were starting to shake, and I was like, damn, I need a beer. I'm just kidding.
It's true because it's sad. So here's the idea for the game I came up with. I have a hat with a bunch of categories in it, and they're things like appliances or whatever, historical figures. And so we're each going to draw a category, and then I'm going to pause the recording while we come up with our answers, and then we're going to go around the circle, and we're going to each say what your category is, and then you're going to have to label each other person at the table and yourself of what you are in that category. So if it's appliances, you have to go around and say, Josh, you are a toaster, Will, you're a refrigerator, and why, etc. What?
Going for the fat crack right away, Jimmy.
Appliance. What's another? Will, you're nothing that has to do with laundry.
You're a big tree.
Will, you are,
Keep in mind that no matter what...
Sorry, what, Mary? Blender.
Okay.
I don't know.
I was going to say, keep in mind that no matter what you say, I'll be able to find a way to be offended by it. But
Okay. All right.
But I can't do that to Mary.
So everybody draw a topic, and then I will pause the recording while we...
And we write it about ourselves.
You have to yourself and everyone else here.
As this?
Yeah, as what it is in that category. Now, if somebody drew one that they just don't understand or absolutely can't do, you can lobby for a redraw, but I'm going to pause the recording right now while we all formulate our answers.
Okay.
Time passes.
Okay, so we're back. We've each drawn a topic, and we have labeled each person at this on the dais with what we think they are in that category. So I'll start. I drew hats. Which hat is everybody? So I'll just go around, starting on the left. Joshua, you are a top hat, because a lot of the time you could seem formal, and like you've really got your shit together. You always wear button-up collared shirts, but you are a magician's top hat, and there is a dead animal inside of you. Will, you are a propeller beanie, because there is nothing more delightful and nothing more depressing. Tracie, you are a kabuki mask. Who knows who you are, but you certainly have an affinity for things Japanese.
Hey.
And
people.
And that's right. And I am an astronaut helmet, because an astronaut helmet seems functional, bold, well-designed, but really there's just a terrified dude inside who's afraid that any leak at all will suck all the air out of him and expose him to the horrifying vacuum of space. So that's what I did for hats.
That's really good.
Joshua, what'd you draw?
I drew timekeeping devices.
Okay.
So, Jimmy, you're a pocket watch.
Excellent.
Because I feel like you could be hazardous to health and be used as a weapon.
Like a garrote?
Yes.
Is that how you say that word?
Correct.
You could choke someone with a pocket. Excellent.
Right. Tracie, might be kind of weird. You're the female in the room, so I thought of a pickup line. You're a time detonator because you're the bomb. Will, you're a microwave timer.
Is it possible to be more asexual?
Will, you're a microwave timer because you like food in you. I don't know. That was dumb. And then me, I'm a clock in this room because it's just a matter of time before I get kicked off the show.
Nice. All right, Will, what'd you draw?
Can I tag out microwave?
Yes.
After if you leave it going for more than a minute, things are gonna get messy. I don't know. Something like that.
Don't put metal in it. I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Keep pregnant women away from it.
All right, that'll work.
I drew mode of transportation.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to start on my left with Tracie. I selected unicycle. Yeah,
Because it sounds like unisex?
right. Well, yeah, because I feel like unicycle is ultimately on some level the asexual of the
Right.
transportation community.
Yeah.
For Josh, I wrote unicycle. But then I was like, that's not exactly accurate. So then I crossed that out, and then I wrote, like, more like a bicycle with the front wheel just hastily cut off.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
As an analogy?
As an analogy for Josh's relationship status?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I still don't get it.
Oh, because you really, really want some bicycle, but at this point, you're pretty much on just a unicycle.
Okay, I'm married. I got it.
I like the line, you really want some bicycle.
For Jimmy, I wrote muscle car.
Okay.
Because it's clearly like you've put a lot of work into it and it seems really loud and impressive, but it can't necessarily haul anything.
Okay. Good.
And for Will, I wrote falling down a flight of stairs. Does that count as a mode of transportation?
We'll count it. Tracie, what'd you draw?
I drew sport.
Oh, right,
Oh,
Yes.
right inside your wheelhouse.
Most definitely. I had to think of 4 sports. and wait till you hear how fictional they are.
Oh, this is exciting.
one of them, at least one of them, better be from a YA novel.
Right. Wait. Let me ask. Can I maybe step on one of your bits by way of prediction?
Yeah.
Which one of us is Quidditch?
I was going to do Quidditch, and I went another direction.
Okay, all right.
Jimmy,
Yes.
for you, I said boxing. Because you have pride in your own upper body strength.
I do.
You admire swiftness of speed and thought, and being a stickler for time-honored rules and regulations.
Okay.
And if it wasn't considered morally wrong, you would hit a woman.
I don't like that, but I would ask you to read the entire thing again with a German accent.
Yeah.
Jimmy, you want to be boxing because you
Your
pride
ass
in
stick-
yourself, on your upper body strength, and swiftness, and being a stickler for the time-honored rules and regulations.
Okay, that's
And
good.
if it wasn't considered morally wrong, you would hit a woman.
For the record, I would not, but let's move on.
But you know that you could defeat her.
Correct. Episode 1 continues to rear its ugly head of the Jimmy Curve podcast. All right.
For Josh, I wrote baseball, and then I changed that to t-ball. Because it's not so much about the pitch or lobbing the ball, but just walking up to the tee and whacking it.
But it's funny.
You can draw your own conclusions of what those can allude to. I was thinking as far as a comedy style of the setup, and if someone pitching a joke or and knocking it, a setup sort of scenario, and you can just kind of just walk up to it and attack it.
I get it. I tell bad jokes. I got it.
No. Also, it could be a euphemism for masturbation. For Will, I wrote Pokemon. Pitting imaginary monsters against each other in combat, and then locking them away in a tiny, secluded container.
Well, I take some exception with that being called a sport.
They are done. It's done in arenas.
Okay.
There are leagues. There are championships. You train Pokemon to be better at battling another Pokemon.
These all fall under the category of game, but not sport. A sport requires some measure of physical athleticism.
If they can show the World Series of Poker on ESPN.
Also not a sport.
Oh well, but if it's on ESPN though.
Okay. All right. I am fine with it as it's the closest to sport that Will gets.
Right.
Okay.
That's all I was going.
Hey, I'll have you know, when I was in the 4th grade, I got knocked unconscious by a softball. Boom, nailed it.
All right.
And someone threw an animal at him.
That's funny.
That's the physical attribute of Pokemon, is throwing animals at other people.
Oh, yeah, that would do it. Why isn't that a sport? It would be cruel.
And
Anyways.
all your traveling is done by foot or bike.
No, all right.
For myself, I wrote solitaire because unlike poker, which is done in a group and enjoyed by many, solitaire is something that is just you are just alone, and it is fun to do when you are bored.
All right. You drew sport and had to come up with 4 sports, and you came up with 2. So I'll give you.
I thought for sure you were going to say, like, unlike poker, which is done by, how did you phrase that?
In a group.
Yeah, how exactly did you phrase it?
I don't remember.
Do you remember? Oh, damn it! Like it was done in a group and enjoyed by many. Solitaire is done by yourself and enjoyed by no one.
Yes, not even usually the person playing it.
Okay, we're gonna try one more round of this, and this time everyone is getting a topic that's a little bit more in their wheelhouse. So everyone has drawn a topic, and we will pause this to do a little thinking.
Time passes.
Okay, we've all taken a minute here. We've got our answers through the magic of podcast editing. Time has passed, and let's start this time with Tracie. What category do you have this time?
I have Star Wars characters.
Awesome.
And for Jimmy, I have picked Admiral Akbar. You like to be in charge, but are convinced any scenario that seems too good is a trap.
I love it.
For Josh, I picked Dash Rendar. I don't know you well enough to make fun of you, but others do.
Oh, that's great.
For Will, I thought everyone's going to assume I'm going to say Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, really? Why would they assume that?
Because they're all cruel people.
Get into your mics, you two.
Oh, sorry. But instead, I thought, maybe I should make him Salacious Crumb, the tiny little bat-looking Muppet that sits next to his tail and just sort of just cackles at everything he does.
That is his job on this podcast.
Right. If I had made you Jabba, he would be the Salacious Crumb to your Jabba.
Right.
But no, instead, the actual answer I wrote was that Will is the Sarlacc pit. Because you are just a deep and endless void in a deserted wasteland, devouring what or whoever is tossed into you.
Does that count as a character?
It's a living being. It belches when it swallows Boba Fett.
I don't know if it counts or not, but it's correct.
For myself, I was going to pick Jar Jar Binks. Because I am amusing to children, but it's probably not okay that I do what I do. But instead, I thought I should be Yaddle, who is the female of Yoda's species, who you see only in episode 1 and is never thought of again.
It was be way more insulting to you, but I thought you were going to say I am Jar Jar Binks, because I was created as a mistake. It was a mistake that I was ever written into the story. But no, that's good. All right. I drew collectibles. Which collectible is everybody? So for Joshua, I said, Joshua, you are shoes. You're a shoe collection because seems really impressive on the outside. But the more you think about it, the more disturbing and perverted it gets. Will Doherty, you are the collectible of, you are an action figure. Your original packaging has long since been discarded. You've been played with for many, many years. Essentially, to collectors, you are worthless. But there was an original concept of you that would have been super valuable. Somewhere along the way, so many mistakes were made over and over again.
If only you were still mint in box.
Right. Yeah.
What are you, my guidance counselor?
Tracie, you are a porn collection because you seem really diverse and exciting, but after 3 or 4 minutes, you're basically done. That's all you need to see.
And I seem like I should be a source of sexual pleasure, but it's really just the articles that are interesting.
That's good. I am baseball cards. 20 years ago, there was some value to me, but nobody cares today. It's just it's an antiquated form of collecting. So that's what I got.
But you've always got gum on you.
That's good. I wish I had said it. All right.
Okay, mine was internal organs. So Jimmy, you were the hardest one for me to find this one. I don't know why. This is really cheesy, but you're the spinal cord, bro. Because without
right.
the spinal cord, if the spinal cord gets severed, you're the spinal cord
It
of
all
this
falls
podcast.
apart.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all vegetables without you.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Without a spinal cord, all you could accomplish is like Stephen Hawking.
I am the thing preventing this podcast from being the Stephen Hawking of podcasts. My continued functionality. That's depressing.
Will, you're the small intestine of the podcast because that's where the vast majority of digestion happens.
All right. Yeah.
Tracy.
Super functional and necessary, but it's really just shit passing through it.
Tracy, forgive me. You're the hyoid bone.
Whoa.
Yes, the hyoid bone. Because you're an asexual, you're like the hyoid bone because it's the only bone not attached to any other bone.
Oh. That's nice. What is the hyoid bone?
It's a bone in your throat. It's suspended by muscle. It's not attached. All your other bones are attached to some other bone.
Right.
Your hyoid bone is in your throat. You can actually feel it.
Nice.
Move it around because it's attached to muscle.
Oh, yeah.
So in the song, it would go, the hyoid bone's connected to a series of muscular tissue, but not actually any other bone structure in the body.
Nice.
Unlike that, though, I am not supported by any muscle.
I am the appendix of the show because it's just a matter of time before I leave.
We've evolved past the point of needing you, but you're still there.
Awesome. All right, Will, what'd you get?
Okay. I selected my category was farm animal, which I just want to point out, I didn't even realize this until a little bit after I picked it. These were self-selected categories, which, as you said, were like, oh, hey, let's all get everybody something a little more in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Which I determined for me was farm animal.
Yeah. Yeah, there were other choices. There were like comic book stuff in there. There was, board game stuff. You picked farm animals.
Yeah, and I didn't take time to think about the subtext of that until a moment after I'd chosen it.
Excellent.
For Tracy, I've chosen castrated steer. Because sex is off the table, but like they're cool with it. Like,
Right, yeah.
They're just super they're just super chill. It's like, yeah, we're cows. Moo.
And since it's a castrated steer, it's probably still attracted to female steers.
Correct. But only romantically.
Yeah.
A female steer is called a cow.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, hey, that's why I didn't pick farm
I didn't
animal.
want to. For Jimmy, I selected sheep because he believes what the government told him about 9/11.
Okay. That's good.
Do you have something you needed to?
Have we ever discussed 9/11?
I don't know.
Let's do it now.
I like the imply. Like, I couldn't think of a way to insult you, so I'm going to make up a personality trait and insult that. That's good.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's
close
fine.
enough.
That's fine.
For Josh, I've chosen old horse. Because nobody ever really rides you anymore. Like, and there's machinery that can do your job like 1,000 times faster now. So
That's good.
And for
Fuck
Will,
you, Will.
For Will, what farm animal am I? I could have gone an easy route and gone with like a fat joke about pigs or cows, but it didn't. I instead went with a fat joke about what farm animal am I? I am what farm animals come to fear.
Yeah.
I am become death of farm animals.
Okay.
That's the answer.
Oh.
I'm the guy who eats a average of about 2 pounds of beef per day.
Right. You represent the inevitable reason why farms exist.
Correct.
All right. Well, hey. All right. Well, that was our attempt at a game today. Thanks for playing.
Thank you.
Tracie, you're an endless source of entertainment for me, and we've gone on super long. So let's do some more.
Yeah.
Let's do some news.
I don't want this party to end.
Joshua
Bossler
News.
Everybody.
You know what's going on right now? Babies having babies, and it's making me sick. The Hong Kong Medical Journal is reporting that a pair of 8 to 10-week-old fetuses were found in the abdomen of a newborn baby girl. It's true. Being born pregnant is so rare that it has only been documented 200 times. The twins were far enough along to each have 4 limbs, a spine, a rib cage, and intestines. The baby girl carrying the fetuses underwent a successful surgery to have them removed. The condition is called fetus in fetu. It only occurs in 1 in 500,000 births worldwide.
That's just insane.
Yeah.
I've
I thought that was
never
crazy.
heard of this. This is bizarre.
Yeah.
I can't. What are the?
How's it happen?
What's the biological process that allows that to happen?
It gets weird and grosser. Like
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
The dad has sex with the pregnant mother.
Uh-huh.
That sperm then inseminates the baby inside.
Well, okay, that's what I assumed would happen, but I'm
God
like,
doesn't make things easy.
You're right. How is that even possible?
That's the only way that could happen.
right.
And yeah, it's a freak thing that doesn't happen very often. And I thought we would talk about it more, but then I'm just like,
It's so shocking that like
Yeah. It's honestly bothering me too much to think of anything to say about it.
well, the thing is it's super rare in general to have it happen where
Right.
a baby is born pregnant.
Sure.
But to have twins, I think, is like
Yeah.
it's astronomically rare. You know what I mean? So this was one of those things.
wow.
Right.
How does a developing fetus already has like sexually mature eggs that can like create another fetus with a sperm?
if the baby was if the fetuses were 8 to 10 weeks, you could figure when that happened, it would have been, a more developed fetus that had that happen to.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
See, I've heard of
I'm not science.
I've heard of things where like a baby that's in the womb will like either like consume or somehow like absorb like another baby that was grown, like it could have been twins or something, but like that's a different thing. That's literally a pregnant. What baffles me about this is like, when do you stop being able to get pregnant again, and then like, because you can't, right? As a child,
I honestly have no idea. I know nothing about this.
Well, and then you said it had its own like these babies within the baby had their own like skeletal system. You said like kind of already formed, but then they'd have to be like super small skeleton, right?
Oh yeah,
because it's small enough to have to fit in an already small being.
right? Well, the other baby just has to stay at least 1 week ahead of the tiny baby inside of it,
Right.
right? So when we're at grain of rice, then we have to be like when the fetus is at like pen cap, like the interior fetus is at grain of rice.
Well, I was just thinking. I think it might happen more often, but the fetuses don't have enough nutrients to develop. When you think about it, it's going through the mother into the baby, and then the baby has to, provide nutrients for those fetuses.
Yeah.
Here's what I feel like is the takeaway from this. Having sex when you're pregnant is as gross as we all kind of intuitively knew it was.
But I was just thinking, like, it adds so much credence to, like, the guys that are, like, super uncomfortable. And, and like, doctors, I mean, and you said it's, like, 1 in, like, 5,000 or...
500,000?
500,000, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, 1 in 500,000 means that happened once today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was fascinating and weird.
It is those things. I feel for sure.
I feel like we're gonna have a call from Adam about this one.
I just feel like we need a palate cleanser, so I'm gonna.
I stay out too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say.
Okay, palate cleanse.
Is your fetus pregnant? Well, shake it off.
You got another one?
I do.
How many fetuses are involved in it?
None.
All right.
I believe it's fetile.
Do it.
Okay, well, let me get my my tablet out here and get on Craigslist. The personals section here. Okay. Yep, here it is. Men seeking women with AIDS. According to a new study. According to a new study conducted by the University of Minnesota, when Craigslist enters a new market area, the rate of reported HIV cases increased by 16%. Interestingly, though, the site's escort services ads had nothing to do with the HIV rate, but the personal ads, such as casual encounters, are to blame.
Right.
Researchers looked at data from 33 states between 1999 and 2008. They estimate that the service is responsible for between 6,130 to 6,455 extra infections a year in the United States, with an annual cost of treatment somewhere in the ballpark of $62 to $65 million.
How can they determine that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just, it says it's based on when Craigslist is introduced into an area. So they can take a look at, like, statistical information about, like, case, over a period of years, and then look at how the trending information changes when it's introduced.
No, not that. City. I'm just saying, how can you determine which part of Craigslist is responsible for it? Because, like, it's not the...
I mean, I guess that's probably harder to...
You would have to take a survey.
Right.
Of, like, AIDS victims. Like, how did you contact this? Where did that come from? And you have to... There's so many surveys like this are based on getting honest responses out of people, which has been statistically shown to be impossible in a survey. Like, people don't answer surveys honestly.
But I feel like if given the opportunity... more people would try to blame hookers than just like, no, this one's just on me.
Exactly, but that's not the case.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's probably more so. It's not the case. It's probably even more so.
Right.
Because that's the thing. I feel like, the escort services, as it was so elegantly mentioned.
Yeah.
Take care of that, like, are fairly safe about it, I would have to think.
Right.
If you're going to stay in business for long.
If you had a lot of customers of that service suddenly, contract the HIV virus, there'd already be a direct, you'd be able to determine that pretty easily, I would think.
If you take money for sex one time, are you a hooker? Or did you just get paid for sex one time?
I mean, I think you stop being a hooker as soon as you stop taking money for sex.
Right.
If you haven't taken money for sex this morning, unless you have something scheduled.
Right.
Right.
If it's your job, then it's your job, and if it's not, it's not.
Right.
They're also studying, like...
I mean, you still can't give blood.
Right.
They're also, like, studying, like, Tinder and apps like that, like random hookup apps. And, like, the increase and trying to figure out how much that increases the percentage of people with HIV in that area that it's used and stuff like that.
I'm sorry.
But instead of shake it off, you should wrap it up, by which I mean use a condom when you're having sex.
No shit. That's just crazy to me. Like...
People who don't,
But the people that are going to casual encounters on, Craigslist probably aren't the most responsible people. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I guess I'm passing judgment.
I'm with you, though. I'm shocked every time I hear one of my friends say that they had a one-night stand or hooked up and didn't wear a condom.
Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind.
16% just seemed really high to me. Like, 16%
That doesn't... I can totally believe that.
People know what AIDS is.
Yeah. But it's amazing how much Craigslist facilitates, like, people with deviant sexual desires.
Right.
And that's not... Like, you don't have to have deviant sexual desires to get AIDS. But it helps.
Right.
But it's like, that they can measure. But, like, random pickups at the bar and people
Right.
getting HIV, you can't measure that. Like, there's no... Anyways, I'm sorry.
Do you not want to do your last news story about how cute puppies are?
Well, I picked these, and because I had this false sense of confidence after the puppy drowning story I did last week, that I felt like I couldn't do any lower than that.
Right.
And then I did
You haven't.
what happened today.
Yeah, you haven't. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't... I don't know. I'm just trying to bring some levity to this somehow.
Well, I thought Will would have laughed more during this story.
That's the most damning indictment of your character that we've heard yet today.
I was
well, everybody,
Go fuck yourself. I just did comedy.
and
Wait, didn't you just say you had another one?
I did. I have. I mean, are you guys following like Robin Williams' family feud?
Oh.
Well, they're fighting.
Oh boy,
over-
this is gonna lighten it up.
He's been married to this wife when he died like 3 years or something like that. Well, now she's in fighting over property and the will with his 3 children, which is just kind of sad. But to me too, it seemed like it was a pretty set in stone contract, and yet they're still fighting over it. It turns out like Robin Williams didn't really have a whole lot of money.
yeah,
But he had a lot of valuable stuff, so now they're just fighting over stuff instead of money. So that's a thing too. Like when you're in a or when you're fighting over like an estate, money can be divvied up. You can't split a house. You know what I mean?
No, right. That's like that's why Steve Buscemi's character got killed at the end of Fargo. It was over the car. No, we don't remember the end of that movie. Nobody cares, just me. All right. There was an amount of money and a car, and they split the money 50-50 after successfully pulling off the crime. And then the one guy's like, what about the car? And he's like, I got shot in the face, so I'm keeping the car. You can have my old truck. And then the other guy's response is to hit him in the chest with an axe. So I'm assuming that Robin Williams' children are going through a similar axe-related dispute.
Yeah, I mean, like you hear people say, like, "We'll make a will, and do it through an attorney, do it the right way, so there's no problems,
so that we can get the axe language settled specifically."
Right. But then I was like, I don't have anything. That would be a waste of money.
Right. I have a will. Do you guys not have wills?
Nope.
No?
No.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah, you were there, Mary. My wife is here. Get on this mic.
I just wanted to listen.
We have a will. We sat down. My dad's a lawyer. We sat down and signed a will.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say you furrowed your brow when he said my dad's a lawyer. Like, I feel like I would have known that. I think I was misreading the face.
Yeah, the face was, his dad was there, so was there a will associated in my mind in the past with a scene with him and his dad? And there is.
Now, here's the really...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, here's the really messed up thing about that situation.
Yeah.
You're where all the money comes from. You're the one who should know what, like, the will situation is.
I'm really bad with money.
This is Mary's thing. I basically handle our bank account. Mary will get a paycheck for quite a bit of money.
Yeah, we know, Jimmy.
Use it.
All right, we get it. You make more money than us.
She will use it as a bookmark and then shelve that book, forgetting about the check in there. And then a week and a half later, I'll be like, "Hey, Mary, you got paid this month, didn't you? Where's your paycheck?" She's like, "I don't know."
No, I remember.
And then we got to go find that book. But no, like we didn't put any thought into our will. It's just one of those things that an attorney thinks that you should have if you're his child. So he was like, "You guys need a will," and we were like, "All right, draw one up and we'll sign it." Like I don't know what it says. But he was like, "You gotta have one of these." So
you didn't go down to like itemize things of like, I
No.
want this to go to this person and I want this to go to that person.
no, and we have no kids, so it doesn't. I mean, it was just
Pretty simple will.
it's just like if one of us dies, the other one gets their stuff. It's really about
Sure.
it. And if we both die, it goes to our next of kin.
I've heard of stories like if you
So
don't.
Will and Josh.
yes.
I was going to ask how many years I have to be doing this show before I
right.
get in the will.
No, it's going to be a while.
15.
I mean,
15?
yeah.
All right.
Ryan Dowd weaseled his way in somehow too. I don't know why he's in there, but he's actually our next of kin. So. But yeah. So is that it?
Get a will, everybody.
That is the quote unquote.
I'll end this episode with just this one last thought. It's a thing that happened to me today. Mary and I went out to dinner tonight. We went to the Texas Roadhouse because I wanted a steak, and my steak was overcooked. I ordered it medium rare, and it was like gray all the way through, and it was like super chewy. And I hate sending food back at restaurants because I'm really not that picky, and I don't like interacting with people, and I certainly don't want to have the part where like a manager comes out and starts apologizing, and I got to be like, "No, I already ate half of it. You don't have to blah." And then it's just the whole thought terrifies me. But Mary was like, "You really wanted a steak? Just send it back." And so the guy came, but I also hate lying. So when the guy comes by and he's like, "How was everything?" I was like, "No, my steak was overcooked." And he's like, "All right, I'll bring you another one." So he goes back and comes out with another 8-ounce steak, also way overcooked. Now the Texas Roadhouse is a steakhouse, and that's their thing. Is like, go ahead, Mary.
And I got my steak perfectly cooked.
Yeah, hers was like
Perfectly.
right. Hers had a warm pink center, like a medium rare steak is supposed to. Mine gray all the way through, and so So at this point, they didn't charge me for the steak. And we just paid and left, and I ate some of it, and it was fine. Whatever, I don't really care. My question is, at what point do you guys send food back at a restaurant? And Will, the fast food equivalent, is taking another lap around through the drive-thru to say, you got my order wrong. Like, how? Like, I almost never, ever do that, no matter what. The only other times I ever remember doing it is when I got, like, raw chicken or something, and it's like, they need to know about this.
That's the only time I'll send it back, is if it's like not healthy for me to eat it.
Right.
That's about it.
But if they just get your order wrong, it's whatever.
Depends how many carbs are in it. But like usually I wouldn't know.
I go back around in the drive-thru if I'm missing an item, which does tend to happen a lot in drive-thrus, I find.
I with my fast food, I measure it by weight. If it's about the right weight that I wanted, I'm generally fine with whatever's in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's an equal exchange of something that's like wrong, but the same like number of things, probably don't care.
What if there's no cheese on either of your McDoubles?
I am furious.
Right. And so you'd go back through?
No, I just light the building on fire.
Tracy?
I've had it where I'm like I never turn anything back, and even if like my order's wrong in the drive-thru, I'll still pretty much just eat whatever I got, you know. But I've had it where like I've had food where the mashed potatoes had like a piece of plastic in it, like from a container.
I've had that.
And then just didn't eat those potatoes then.
Yeah.
And didn't really comment on it. But also it was because it was I was doing a show at the place where that was happening, so I didn't feel like I could complain about it.
There's this really weird thing that happens where I've seen this happen in restaurants where people just endlessly complain that their order wasn't right. You know, I wanted half cranberry juice, half iced tea. This is all iced tea.
Yeah.
Or you use just cranberry iced tea. Like, and they complain about it, and then they send their food back 2 or 3 times. I've seen that happen, and I always have the same weird series of thoughts that I can't make sense of, which is, I really hate those people, and they seem like they're acting like assholes.
Yeah.
But they're completely right. They're 100% right that they paid for an item or service that they did not get. And if you're paying for an item or service, you should get what you paid for.
Right.
Now, you don't have to be rude about it, but if you order something in a restaurant, you should get what you asked for. And if they don't bring it to you, you have every right to complain and send it back. But when I see it happen, I get really bothered by it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never worked in a real restaurant, but I have worked in a lot of fast food joints, and people are liars.
Sure.
Yeah. So most of the time when you're seeing that happen, those people are just assholes who are full of shit. I not all the time, but quite often.
The last 2 times I've gotten free food at a restaurant, it went like this. I'm gonna try this new thing on your menu. They're gonna come by and ask, and I didn't really like it, but it was made right. I didn't like it. Oh, here, have this other thing.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the kind of service that you get when you eat at restaurants.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't get that service if you don't like your new pizza. Right?
No, but a pizza.
Where can I get that?
But if you order a pizza and it's wrong, they will send you another one most of the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, people do take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah.
But also, like, I like pizza, and there are very specific things that I can't like. If I get a pizza that I can't eat, I am. It's the same situation where I'm like, I've delivered pizzas for a lot of years in my past, and I don't want to make a driver come all the way out again for no money because it's a waste of his time. He's losing money. But at the same time, if there are mushrooms and olives on my pizza, I can't eat it. I don't like it, and now I have no dinner, and I've paid for it. So like,
right.
I have every right to be upset and
Sure.
to get another pizza, but I still am annoyed with myself for asking.
I get uncomfortable with drive-through situations where if I was eating inside, if I was eating inside the McDonald's, because I had this happen once when I drove through. I ordered like a cheeseburger and I said ketchup only, and there was they didn't understand something about it, and what I ended up getting was a bun with cheese and ketchup and like all the fixins, and then no beef patty.
No patty.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I had that, and were I inside the McDonald's at the time, I would have absolutely brought that up to them. Like, hey, there's no beef patty in this cheeseburger I ordered, and it's just everything else, and you misunderstood me. But because I got it through the drive-through, and I didn't, because I was probably like, I'm on the way to somewhere, so I'm trying to pick up food on the way or something, and I don't want to cycle, there's other cars I have to get in the back of the line of and try to figure this out, or go inside, and I just like, fine, I'll take it. But I was so angry that I paid for a meatless burger.
Oh, yeah. I would be furious. But, so anyways, that's our answer. This is a weird situation.
I think like some people, there is bad food, but people think that they have a more sophisticated palate than they actually do.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you like? They act like there's some judge on Top Chef or something like that. It's like you're in a chain restaurant, and it's pretty basic stuff. You can't expect it to like knock your socks off.
Right, and there are also people who just get off on exerting power over a waiter at Applebee's.
I said,
making them run errands.
I
There
said
are those
extra
people.
pickles, and this is the same amount of pickles anyone else would have gotten.
And there are people who just get off on their food. So
Go fuck yourself. I just did comedy.
And that's going to be our show today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to what I haven't yet determined will be either just one really long episode of the Jimmy Curve or another part 2 episode of the Jimmy Curve, but I'll figure it out when I edit this whole thing together.
You're welcome.
Tracie, it's mean we just can't get enough of you. It's mean It means. I said, it's mean. We can't get enough of you.
It's mean. It is mean that you can't get enough of me. I wish there was just more of me
She
to go
wants
around.
nothing more than to be left alone.
No can do, Tracie Mauk.
That's not true. I'm so sad and lonely.
Come see me tonight at Styles Pub at the Throwback Thursday show. I'll be there. Who else has got something coming up?
Valentine's Day. I'm at O'Borney's Husker Bar in Columbus, Nebraska. Come see me.
Sweet. Will?
I have nothing in my life.
Tracy?
Come see me on Valentine's Day at the Backline. And also Friday night is probably Friday night at the Backline. I'm doing a 40-minute set with my team 10, which includes Nick Rowley and Alyssa Ami.
It's your plug.
Come see us do all of those things. Thank you guys so much for... Oh, Mary, do you have a plug?
Keep listening to the Jimmy Curve because more trivia is on the way.
Oh, she's so sweet. I love you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's been our show. This was a lot of fun, guys. I thought this went really well. So, for Joshua Vossler.
At Joshua Vossler.
Will Doherty.
At Will_Doherty because some useless cocksucker got Will Doherty.
Tracie Mauk.
At Mockingbird. Also, I'd like hugs and kisses, just nothing under the clothes.
I have been your host at Jimmy Bear Putnam. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is In the Meantime by Space Hog. Thank you. Good night.
Cry